Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So in the last episode, if you remember that, we spoke about how to link uh, the record to your carbon footprint. Okay. Now that's all great. That's pretty simple stuff to do. Now there might be a scenario, right? What happens that if some of the energy records are not properly linked, for instance, um, you might utilize the monthly utility bills to obtain energy consumption data for the specific asset. Like if you remember, right, stationary assets linking to the carbon footprint. So one of the requirement is that you're using the utility bills to obtain energy consumption data, like your power bills or gas bills or whatever, right? Which in turn you feeds into the net zero cloud um, as energy use record. So now what happens that if, say for instance, if you miss or for whatever reason, if you realize that a couple of electricity bills were missing for certain durations, let's say for August or November, and so if you are as an admin, you wouldn't be able to know um, the energy usage for this month, right? Because obviously you don't have a data in place, and without the data, it's very difficult to predict. Or what if you have a orphan record got created somewhere, and but for some reason it's gone, those data was not linked properly to your asset record, um, or I mean the carbon footprint. So how do you ensure that those information get properly linked so that you get the proper estimation about their energy consumption usage? Or in other words, the way I put it is that how do you calculate any gap in the energy use data, which can potentially trigger carbon footprint accounting in not in an accurate way, or in other words, it can cause inaccurate carbon footprint accounting, which can also lead to incorrect annual emissions inventories, which is not really great, right? Because if you as a business wants to reach net zero by say by 2030, you can't really afford to have incorrect annual emission inventories, right? Which is not really great. So that's why it's very important to have the reliable and auditable carbon inventories for accurate, sustainable uh, impact reporting, right? So, like I said, it could be a problem like might have an orphan record lying somewhere which is not linked to your carbon footprint record. That could be one thing, or another thing is that you might have the missing energy consumption data. Or another problem could be you might have a duplicate information sitting somewhere, right? Which is not really great. So you as an admin, so you must be thinking, hmm, what's the best way I can solve this problem, right? Obviously, it's not really great from a business perspective. So Net Zero has something called um, benchmark, custom benchmark. You can use the benchmark option. So what benchmark is that you can build your own custom benchmark, which will help you to link those orphan records or to fix the duplicate issues associated with the carbon footprint. Okay, so you can pretty much benchmark your building energy usage. But just one thing I just wanted to uh, mention that the data gap filling, right, which I mentioned just now, is only available for stationary asset with the commercial building record type, right? So that's one thing I just wanted to mention that. Okay. So when I mention about the benchmark, right, there are two kinds of benchmark. Either you can create your own benchmark, or you can use industry benchmark. So when we talk about industry benchmark, it's a commercial building energy consumption service. You can also call it as CBECS, which is a national sample survey that kind of research and collects energy information, energy building characteristics, and energy use data, especially for the US, right? If you're living somewhere else, you can look at your country specific data set. If not, you can also use your own benchmark, which is pretty easy to create. I can show you how to do that in a second. So the way to do that, right? So you just go to this tic-tac-toe icon. So you can just do BEI builder. So using the BEI builder, you can pretty much put your name, your window start date, which from which uh, period to which period. You can start from 2020, 2021, depending upon the which window you're trying to cover, right? If you have a data missing, say in 2020, so it's good to start from 2020. If you have only the data missing from 2021, so it's good to start from, say, 2021. Okay, sorry, not 2022. And you can mark it till today, right? Or whichever date you want to measure. Then you actually measure the building size, then building asset type, the business region, which region, and the country, and then system generated. And you get something like this. Pretty simple, right? There's one more thing you can do. That is, you can go and fill the gap. So what you can do, right? If I go to just a second, if I go to stationary something asset. If you go to stationary asset carbon footprint, right? I pick up anything, right? Let's say this over here. If I go to here, come on, there's something. Not this one. Yeah. So if I go here, right, stationary asset carbon footprint, you can also come here, and there's something called fill data gap. You can do here. And right now I don't have anything, but just in case if you got something, you will click. If you click on next, you will get information which you can pick and select. And say, for instance, if I want to do that, I can finish it, and this will pretty much fill the data. So this is a pretty simple option, I would say, right? If you wanted to fill the gap, so you come here, and it will show you the list of orphan records. So you can pick one of the records and you can fill it, right? So that's one way. The reason why I wanted to show you guys this, it might happen that you might someone can make a mistake, right? If someone can make a mistake, you can come here and you can fill that one. That's that's one thing. Um, so I think what I should do, right? It's okay. I mean, right now I wanted to cover different things with the net zero, but I think I should create a scenario, right, that will help you guys to understand, to see how Probably once I finish teaching all the concept, then we can probably look at to mimic some of the stuff. I got this trial work for 30 days, so I just the reason why I'm just jumping ahead of things is just wanted to make sure that before this trial or get expires, I can create the course, right? And then we can look at other stuff we can do. So it's just a learning. I appreciate the fact that you must be thinking it's too much of theory, but just remember that this is still a very new, right? So a lot of things are new to me as well, because I'll be honest, I haven't used net zero before, right? I mean, it will be unfair to say, it will be very wrong for me to say, hey, I've used the Net Zero Cloud. I haven't used this before. This is the first time I'm doing it as I'm teaching you guys, but that's all good. So I'm pretty sure we're going to revisit this course eventually, but the reason why I wanted to do it, if you guys wanted to know a bit about the Net Zero Cloud, wanted to have some basic understanding, yeah, and perhaps if you have some project coming up, so work along with me and we can build a solution together. So that's all the reason why I started. Okay, anyways, that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing Sunday. Adios.